over this invitation in the White House. My sources tell me King Buckingham Palace not happy with Sir Keir Starmer, that he handed over that letter to the King in front of, to the President even in front of the cameras.
Right now, King Charles just did something no British monarch has dared to do in nearly 100 years. And it all started because Prime Minister Keir Starmer made one huge mistake. It happened fast. Starmer was angry, he was frustrated, and in a moment that shocked everyone, he publicly attacked King Charles. Nobody knows exactly what he said yet, but one thing became crystal clear very quickly. He crossed a line that British leaders have respected for generations. He insulted the crown, and for the first time in modern history, the king decided he wasn't going to stay silent. What happened next changed everything. Late Monday night, something extraordinary took place inside Buckingham Palace. King Charles called an emergency meeting, not with journalists, not with Parliament, with his most trusted advisors. The Lord Chamberlain was there, senior members of the Privy Council were there, constitutional lawyers were there too. The meeting went deep into the night. The only light came from the dim glow of the palace's private study. According to one royal aide who spoke anonymously, the king said, "The Prime Minister has crossed a line no leader should ever cross. The monarchy must now defend its dignity and its survival." Those words spread through political circles like wildfire. By Tuesday morning, Westminster was in complete panic, because what the king did next hasn't been done since the abdication crisis in the 1930s, and he ordered a full constitutional review. The document is reportedly called Operation Sovereign Integrity. It outlines every legal option the crown has if a sitting prime minister threatens the institution itself. Think about that for a second. The last time the monarchy took action like this, a king gave up the throne. This time, a king is preparing to defend it. When Downing Street found out about Operation Sovereign Integrity, everything changed. One insider described it simply: he realized he'd started a fight he couldn't win. But the king wasn't finished. Early Wednesday morning, sealed letters were hand-delivered to three very important people. The leader of the opposition received one. The Speaker of the House of Commons received one. A senior Supreme Court judge received one. The contents are still not public, but sources close to the palace say the letters carried one clear message: protect Britain's constitutional balance. This wasn't a suggestion, it was a royal warning delivered in writing. Historic, direct, unprecedented. Within hours, the letters leaked. Social media exploded. Hashtags like King Strikes Back and Defend the Crown hit trending worldwide. Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok were flooded with videos of people expressing shock and support. Suddenly, the story wasn't about Starmer's anger anymore. It was about the king reclaiming his authority, and the British public was watching every second of it. Then came the moment that changed everything. Wednesday afternoon, the BBC interrupted regular programming for a special bulletin. Buckingham Palace was releasing its first official response. Newsrooms went silent. Millions of people stopped what they were doing. The king didn't appear on camera, but the statement was sure, sharp, and devastating. The statement read, "His Majesty remains committed to the unity and stability of the nation. He holds deep respect for Britain's democratic institutions and expects the same respect to be shown toward the crown." 26 words. That's all it took. The palace didn't name Starmer. It didn't have to. The message was crystal clear. Disrespect the monarchy and there will be consequences. Within minutes, every news network in Britain was calling it the most powerful royal intervention in modern history. Political analysts were stunned. Constitutional experts were scrambling to explain what it meant, and the public was all in. That's when the floodgates opened. Crowds gathered outside Buckingham Palace. Thousands of people holding signs that read, "Stand with the Crown and defend our king." By Thursday morning, the crowd had grown so large that police had to set up barriers. Church bells rang in towns across England, not because anyone organized it, just spontaneous support for the monarchy. In Manchester, Liverpool, and Birmingham, even in northern Labour strongholds where Republican feelings sometimes surfaced, people were disgusted by Starmer's behavior. A taxi driver from Manchester said it best in a street interview that went viral. He said, "You can argue about policies all day long, but you don't insult the king. That's not politics." Inside Labour headquarters, everything was falling apart. Senior backbenchers were in private meetings, planning the transition. The party machinery that once defended Starmer had ground to a halt. Then came the move that stunned everyone. Monday morning, exactly 1 week after the crisis began, King Charles summoned the Speaker of the House and senior Privy Councillors to Windsor Castle. No cameras, no press, just a private consultation. Afterward, the palace released this statement: "His Majesty has been apprised of the current situation and remains dedicated to the preservation of constitutional order." Constitutional experts went into overdrive. That phrase, "preservation of constitutional order," was loaded. It's the kind of language monarchs use before taking action. A reminder that the king still holds reserve powers, powers that are rarely used but very, very real. Some analysts thought Charles was preparing to dissolve Parliament if the crisis deepened. Others wondered if he would appoint a caretaker government. Either way, the message was clear. The king was ready to act if the government couldn't fix itself. Inside Labour headquarters, the atmosphere turned toxic. Party veterans accused Starmer of dragging Labour into an identity crisis it might never recover from. Leaked audio from an internal meeting revealed shouting matches. One MP was heard yelling, "He's turned Labour into a Republican experiment and we're all paying the price." Another voice responded, "We need to act now before he destroys everything we've built." And through it all, the king remained silent, dignified, untouchable. While Starmer's empire burned, Charles simply waited. He didn't need to fight loudly, he didn't need to match the chaos. Because in Britain, the crown doesn't shout, it endures. And that patience, that quiet authority was more devastating than any speech could ever be. What we're witnessing isn't just a political scandal, it's a constitutional earthquake. For the first time in decades, the balance of power in Britain has shifted. The monarchy, which many thought was just symbolic, just proved it can still move mountains when provoked. And the man who thought he could challenge the crown is now watching everything he built fall apart. But there's another crisis brewing at the same time. Prince Andrew. The scandal involving him has been growing for years, and now the British government is getting frustrated with how slowly Buckingham Palace is responding. BBC Newsnight reports there's real unease in the cabinet. One member said, "The palace have got to decide on this," with a real shake of the head. It's not good. But here's what's interesting. Government sources say Prince William is taking control. One Whitehall source told the BBC, "William is on it. William is on it."
From Buckingham Palace to this, one member said to me, "The palace have got to decide on this," and there was a real sort of shaking of the head. It's not good, I was told. Just look at the growing noise in the House of Commons. But in Whitehall, there is a belief that one member of the royal family is gripping it, and that is the Prince of Wales. This is what I was told by a Whitehall source. William is on it. William is on it. And
the view in government is that William is thinking long-term about the future of the monarchy, and he really wants to get hold of this situation. Royal expert Phil Dampier says William wants a real line to be drawn under it before he becomes king. "I don't think he wants to be living within a couple of miles of someone who's constantly getting negative attention," Dampier explains.
And the view is that the Prince of Wales is thinking long-term, the long-term future of the monarchy, and as the belief in Whitehall is that he really wants to get hold of this. And the view in Whitehall is that it's quite difficult for a government because they can't get ahead of the palace. They can't be behind public opinion. And when you want to get a flavour of that public opinion, what is interesting is Labour MPs who a few days ago were saying, "I'm not sure we really need to worry about this." One of them said to me, it's not a good atmosphere. They're saying the atmosphere has changed over the last 48 hours. There is now real momentum for action on Prince Andrew.
What action?
Right now, there are protesters outside Prince Andrew's home with megaphones shouting that he should leave. William and Kate live in Windsor. Their kids go to school there. It's about clearing the decks and getting things sorted out while Charles is still king. Valentine Lowe, author of Power and the Palace, says this situation is unheard of since the abdication crisis in 1936. "It's always striking how reluctant politicians are to take on the royal family," Lowe told reporters. But this is different. Politicians aren't taking on the royal family as a whole. They're focusing on one individual. And unlike most royal controversies, taking on Andrew is actually popular with voters. So here's where we stand. King Charles has shown the world that the monarchy still has real power. Starmer is facing a political collapse, Labour is in chaos, and William is preparing to clean house before he takes the throne. The answers to what happens next are coming, and they're going to reshape British politics for a generation.